Hey guys, welcome back to the On Cinema Oscar special. Tonight we're doing something a little special. We're presenting the pilot premiere episode of a new show that I'm trying to sell to some of the film networks. The name of the show is On Cinema, On Directors. On Cinema, On Directors is a new chat show where I speak with some of the directors of our time who made the movies that have created memories that will last forever. Now, a little bit later on the On Cinema Oscar special, I've got a very special guest, one of the all-time legends of Hollywood, an Oscar winner themselves, and that's going to blow your minds. That's going to make international headlines. But before we get to that, let me introduce the pilot episode, live pilot episode of On Cinema, On Directors. Today, my guests are two of the great directors of our times. From the movie Yes Man, Mr. Peyton Reed. Thanks for being a guest today.
Greg, thanks so much. It's great to be here.
And from the motion picture Decker, Tim Heidecker.
Good to see you. Good to
Tim,
see
how are you?
Nice to meet you.
You too.
How are you, Greg?
Good. Thanks for being a guest here on my new show.
This is unbelievable.
Thanks for having us.
I think this is great. I love this.
This is a chance for directors to really talk about their craft and educate the movie-going public as to what goes into making these great blockbusters. So, Peyton, what led you into directing movies?
Well, you know, something I had been interested in since I was a kid, and my parents got me a Super 8 movie camera when I was a kid, so I just always loved shooting film, you know, and I loved watching movies too, as I'm sure you probably did as well, Tim.
And
So,
Tim, what led you into directing movies?
Well, it's you have an idea, and you want to see that idea exactly the way you picture it in your mind. So you got to take charge. You got to be the one to seize the moment. And if I felt like I was going to give Decker over to somebody like you who is going to just do their job, show up 9 to 5, and just try to get the job done, it's going to lose the magic that we provided. And I felt like that was my responsibility to direct my own vision.
What is the hardest thing about directing?
Well, you know, it's sort of it's a marathon and a sprint all at once. You know, you've got to you're there every day. You're there in prep, and you're there when you're shooting, and then when you're editing. So endurance is a big thing, and also just kind of you got to have, I think, as Tim said, a vision for the thing that you're doing.
Yeah, I said that already.
And you have to have like a real enthusiasm for what it is, because, you know, you're on a movie for, I don't know how long it took you guys to do your
2 weeks
your
for
thing.
the first one.
So you're on, like, say 2 weeks to a year or something like that, and you've really got to be psyched about it.
Yeah, I was.
How does a director get the best performance out of his actors? Tim, let's go to you for a minute.
Well, you know, I luckily get to work. As a director, I get to work with one of the best actors in the business myself. You know, so I don't have to worry about, is he going to do a great job? Now, I also get to work with Joe Estevez, who I'm friends with, and I can talk to him at length about the part, and we can work as long as it takes to get it right.
Special Agent Kington.
And Kington and Greg Turkington, as you know, did a good job, but that was because I played mind tricks. I used psychology to get him to do a great job. So you got to use all your tricks.
Yeah, I'll actually kind of build on what Tim was saying, is that it is one of the great joys of directing, to work with talented actors and things. And I will say, Tim, I was, you know, I checked out some of the Decker stuff, and I particularly the performances that you got, and particularly I'll have to say, Greg, that performance was really fantastic. And then when I sort of saw the cinema thing and sort of how you went about that, there's a long history, you know, of directors pulling all sorts of stunts to try and get performances out of actors or non-actors, and that, I have to say, that strategy that you used with sort of, you know, filming him without him really knowing, I thought was kind of genius. I thought it was really smart, and the performance, you know, I thought was really.
I can't say the same for yourself, because I didn't get a chance to see all the movies you did, but it seems like you're a nice guy. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Do you guys have picks for Best Picture of the year? Tim?
Well, I got to go with Escape Plan, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and other from Rocky. That was the best movie of the
Sylvester
year.
Stallone from Rocky and Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yep.
and Rocky Balboa. Peyton, any best picks for the
Yeah, listen, I love Boyhood. I thought Boyhood was great. I'd be happy to see that win Best Picture.
Not too likely.
Well, yeah, you never know. You never know.
The
The Academy
well,
works, you know.
what I'm finding out from my sources at the Academy is that The Hobbit is going to be sort of a surprise stealth nomination via the write-in vote, which has been used throughout our democracy for many presidents to win, and also for Oscar movies such as Kramer versus Kramer in 1979, which won via the write-in vote. And I am told that this year the Hobbit is going to win the write-in vote.
Well,
so
Greg,
you guys are wrong.
let me actually. That's not entirely accurate. You know, I'm actually in the Academy, and
Oh.
there's a very specific sort of methodology you do. Like early on, you know, you can sort of, if you're a director, you vote on the director category and all those things. But by the time the nominations are out, it's really impossible to have a write-in category. If enough people had
So
written
I
it in,
told
it
him-
would have probably won the nomination.
what I was
No,
telling-
because
I
But
told
it's-
him about that.
because this is America, this is democracy.
Yeah.
You can vote for anything. That would be crazy to exclude movies that earned the right to win
Yeah,
this award.
no, and listen, I think
and
that
that's
probably,
why you can write it in. If
I'm
you
sure
bring
some
a
of the
That's what the
members-
box office is for. I mean, that's what big famous movies don't get win all the kinds
But when
of
you
awards.
voted, there's space on the paper, on the ballot, to write in whatever movie that you want, and that's what most of the voters have done this year.
Well, when you initially vote for the nominations, you can nominate movies, but by the time all the votes are tallied for what final 5 to 10 are going to be nominated, there's really not a write-in space at that
So
point.
there's no blank space on there to write or to cross out all the other
Listen, I
nominations.
suppose you could
and
create
add-
one, but there's not, no, not really. But
Well, yeah, if you can create one, that's what people would do.
listen, I suppose it's not impossible, but
It's not an
probably
electronic
unlikely.
vote, it's paper, so you can write in anything
Well,
that
they
you
do
want.
have an online voting system now that's
And it has
actually-
a space for write-in votes, or for you to add any titles that you feel should be the winner.
I don't remember seeing it, but you may be right. But I don't think that's
Yeah, because
the
I've
case,
got,
actually.
you know, I found out for sure that The Hobbit as a write-in vote got between 53 and 59% of the votes this year. And so you're going to see it win this year. So
All right.
I've
Yeah,
got,
I don't. Yeah, well, I guess we'll agree to disagree on that. But it's let's see. Listen, it's a terrific movie. I know you.
oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's great. Actually,
kind
all
of awards
6 of
did
the
you ever win?
Hobbit, 6 Hobbit movies were terrific.
Huh?
Peyton, this question is for you. Everyone's talking about Decker. It's one of the highlights of the season last year.
Best movie of the year.
What would you have done differently if you had directed Decker? It's kind of a fun question for Tim to listen to.
Well, that's actually that's kind of a
Stay
slippery
at home?
slope. That's it's very tough for one director to sit next to another. Every director has a different style, so it's kind of particularly when it's finished. Now, if Tim were to say to me, "Hey, I've got a rough cut of a movie or a show. I want you to check it out and give me some notes." That's one thing, but you know, it's done, so it's kind of weird to. give.
I'd tell you what you'd say. You'd say, no notes. It's the best movie I've ever seen. So, God bless you for checking in. But who's this guy? Where did you get
Well, I'm
this
not
guy
saying
from?
I'm not saying it would be you do it.
Where's
any
this
different.
guy from? I mean, I'd seen this Yes Man movie once on TBS.
Well,
there's-
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Decker's
No, I'm
terrific.
Pardon me, but I mean, how do you know? How do you know anybody? Who do you bring? Who do you bring?
There are
Who is
hand-
this you're bringing in?
There are a handful of shows.
How
Can,
you
I,
know
can I
that-
just say
no,
now that he
no, you
has
can-
asked the
no,
question?
you've said enough.
I would
How-
have
Greg,
probably
shut up for a
a
sec.
few less motorcycle
Fine.
riding shots. Would have been just.
All right. Well, I'll
Those
tell
are
you
pretty
what,
popular,
I'm going
but
to ask you
yeah,
a question.
I've also
You answer
heard
me
from
honestly. How
some
do you
people
bring
that
know this
there's-
guy?
Well, this is.
Well, I mean, because
How
this
do you
is
know
direct,
this guy? You don't talk no more.
The show's
I
called
wanna
On
know from
Director,
you-
so we talked.
I want to know from you what kind of setup this is. How do you know who this is? Why did you bring him here today? How do you know
Because
who
I'm
he
trying
is?
to make the best pilot I can by
Who-
getting advice and information from top directors of
How do you
I
know
can-
him?
if you
Let me
want,
ask it. Then you're not going to answer me straight. You answer me honestly. How do you know this asshole?
All right. Well, it's kind of an exciting thing to. I watched Decker and thought again that you directed Greg in a terrific performance.
Yeah,
and,
I know I did.
You know, my casting people and I were always looking for sort of exciting new people, so we will go on the internet and sort of scour the internet for people, and you know, she sort of turned me on to Decker. And I saw Greg. I'm sorry if is it Kingston or Kington? It's Kingston. the
Yeah,
character.
King-
Yeah. So
Kingston.
I saw his performance as Kingston, and I was like,
Kington.
his performance as Kington, and I was like, I think this guy's terrific. And I was directing this movie Ant-Man for Marvel, and I was like, we got to get. There's a scene that I think this guy would be perfect for. I can't talk too much about it, but it's a scene with Paul Rudd, and so I got in touch with Greg, and I was like, I want you to be in Ant-Man, and
When are you doing this?
we shot it in the fall. We started principal photography, I guess, mid-August and wrapped December, and I think you came down. Was it November or
November. You were in
can't even
you were in
remember.
Jackson Hole, and you weren't talking to me, and you weren't doing.
But it's the kind of thing that, again, as a director,
Can't-
like,
I was just trying. I mean, this was a lot of fun to be on a movie set.
but as a director to see that, and
Hold on a
I
minute,
got
hold
to
on. You're in
thank
a movie with.
Paul Rudd. Yeah, he's a great, and I can't reveal
Is it
who
a
Greg
joke?
plays.
Is this a prank?
I'm sorry. I mean,
You're in a movie with this guy, with Paul Rudd and whoever.
no, he's
I'm
not.
sorry.
in-
I'm not in the movie. I directed the movie, and it's
You did this while I was away in Jackson Hole.
coming out July 17th. It's Marvel's Ant-Man with Paul Rudd,
So you two are together now as a
Michael
team?
Douglas,
You
and
two are the team now, and I'm a guy on the outside.
well, no, Greg just came and did a role in the
Why
movie.
don't you ask me to be in the movie?
Because you wouldn't. It
Well,
wouldn't
there was
make
a
sense.
there was sort of a specific part that was, we saw Greg and he just
Well,
seemed
good
like
meeting
he would
you.
be,
I gotta
uh,
go. And thank you very much. Happy Oscars. I gotta go.
Thank you for watching On Cinema on Directors,
Comes out July 17th.
July 17th. Ant-Man comes out July 17th. Let's go to a break.
You not told him?
He's really touchy. He's really touchy.
Sorry, I just assumed that you probably had told him.